Okay, cosmic baddies, quick pause. If you are so ready to call in your next chapter, you need to get into my workshop, How to Make a Vision Board That Actually Works. This is not your typical Pinterest collage situation. I'm teaching you the exact method I have used to manifest some of the biggest things in my life, like 2 babies in 1 year, our Soho apartment, our Montauk beach house, and yes, even my dream book deal with Penguin Random House. In this workshop, I blend astrology, neuroscience, and intuitive magic to help you create a vision board that actually manifests. You get the recordings, the templates, the workbook, the joy, the giggles, all of it. So if you're ready to design your destiny, head to cosmicrx.com/highervision and grab your spot. That's cosmicrx.com/highervision. Your future self is waiting. If astrology isn't real, then explain why literally every single thing that happened in 2025 was straight out of the planetary playbook. And basically, all of the astrologers, witchy weirdos, mystic misfits, and cosmic baddies were like, and like, of course, we're going to get into what happened in 2025, a WTF just happened, check in, reset, to digest and integrate that, and do a little peek of what's coming in 2026, especially through the If Astrology Isn't Real lens, where we look at what is happening in the planets, how it is affecting us, and mirroring things that are happening here on Earth in the realm of politics, pop culture, and of course, our purpose. So, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Maddie Murphy, your cosmic consultant, your high vibe hype woman, just an all around general silly goose who is just here to try to interpret a little bit of what we can learn from the cosmos about our collective assignment so we can live in deeper alignment with our highest and hottest self. And this little bonus segment is where we talk about, right? Like, if astrology isn't real, then why did everything feel like a collective personality reset last year? If astrology isn't real, then why was everything so literal from things that were talked about, predicted, or just forecasted, right, from previous cycles of similar astrology? And we like to say here, astrology doesn't define you, it aligns you. Astrology doesn't make choices for you, but it can help enhance choices for you. Does that make sense? So yeah, let's just jump right in. First of all, let's talk. I have my iced coffee today. It's real. It's real. You know, caffeine, cosmic energy to get us going. So if you felt like 2025 was not just a normal year, you are not making that up. So we know it was a snake year, right? So in Chinese astrology, which has a correlation to Jupiter, teaches us about one of the larger themes for the year for all of us. It was also 2025, 225, a 9 year. I talked about this on an amazing episode I did about December end of year astrology numerology with the talented, lovable, adorable genius Zoe Greco, if you want to go deeper. And then also, and it's on a different note, but it's the same note, because all of energy, whether you're looking at astrology, numerology, psychic predictions, it's like coming from the same source, just different interpretations. But also 2025 and 2026 are some of the most definitive years of the 21st century. And that is because we know, if you've been following here, we know that the inner planets, right? The sun, moon, those are luminaries, but do what you will with them. The Mercury, the Venus, the Mars, those affect us on the day-to-day. Those affect our psychological makeup. Those affect, our needs, our wants, how we do things, our superpowers, our skills, our obstacles, our shadows. When we look at the outer planets, the Uranus, the Neptune, the Saturn of it all, is where we're looking at generational cohorts, eras, if you will, like our different eras that we go through as a society. And of course, it does imprint and affect us on the micro, the individual, but it's more about our role, what's our larger lesson we're learning during this time. And usually these outer planets can take anywhere from 1 year, in Jupiter's case, to shift, all the way up to 20-ish years to shift in the Pluto case. And so they kind of stagger, and it's a big deal when these outer planets, especially like Neptune or Uranus or Pluto, when that shifts signs, it's a big deal. This past year, all right, so think about all that. Is that on? Like, lock it in your little thinking cap. Last year, 2025, every single planet, outer planet, made a shift, made a move, and locked in and showed us a new path. And on top of that, the North Node, which isn't really a planet, it's an esoteric point, but it dictates a lot of where our collective is going, what we're feeling, what we're healing, what we're revealing. So 2025, every single planet shifted. Think about that for a minute. Like, we just went through like a vortex through a portal, through like just when we couldn't go any deeper or faster or change more. The universe was like, hold my beer, right? Like, hold my matcha latte, because we're going deeper. So if you felt like last year was an initiation, a pressure cooker, a systems check, a spiritual pop quiz, a graduation, a funeral, a wedding, a birth, all in one, you're not imagining it. Okay. And then again, that's the snake year. The 9 year, 9 is closing. Snake year is shedding. If anybody started anything this year and just felt like you didn't like get off the ground in the way you anticipated, that's okay. I guarantee it that 2026 is going to bring the gas. Like, it's going to put the gas in the tank of the car that you built or dismantled this past year. And I've been liking to tell people, if you had a lot of shit getting fucked up in 2025, if you had a lot of shit that got, ended, breakups happening, things didn't go your way, I promise you, the more shit got fucked up is the more shit is going to level up in 2026, because that's just, I don't make the rules. This is just how it is. So we're going into this 1 year, this like blast off. And now all those planets I just talked about that shifted, they were going back and forth, doing a little dance, giving us a little preview. Oh, Uranus moving from Taurus from 2018 to now, dip into Gemini. Then it went back into Taurus. In 2026, all of the dippy-doo, like back and forth, a little dancing the planets were doing, they're going to land in 2026 and really change the next, 3, 7, 12, 20 years, setting us on a new path. We've been saying this since 2020, but we are not going back the way we came, right? There is no new norm. 2020 was a big wrecking ball. And if you felt like 2025 felt similar to 2020, you're not wrong. I had said in my year ahead forecast in 2025 that this would be very similar, different, but similar. And, just a quick personal story. When I started studying astrology on the more macro level, looking at cycles of history and how it affects us on the not just personal level, but on the planetary level for these cycles we move through in history, I was into it. But, I'm always a little skeptical when I start studying something. I'm like, okay, cool. Found some fun things like in history that correlated to astrology. But then I, started studying deeper. And my teacher said, 2020, it's going to feel like the world has ended, right? Like, it's going to be something that's going to be so big, so seismic that no one can ignore. The whole world is going to forever be changed. And this was in like 2017. And so I've been used to the crazy news cycles, right? Like, the clickbait, the articles, the media cycle changing every day and a half. And I was like, yeah, but like nothing can ever happen to make our whole society, like everyone on the planet, slow down and take notice. Because, disasters happen, crisis, tragedies, they happen, and people just kind of like move on, right? Eventually. And I was like, what's going to happen that the whole world is going to notice? And I was like, is this just one of those like weird new agey things? Like the world is ending. And then flash forward to March 2020, right when my teacher said it was going to happen. Boom, right? We all know what happened. COVID, world shut down, forever changed. So then in that same time, he had told me 2020 will be this great Capricorn convergence where all the systems and structures and foundations, everything from business to leadership to our politicians, it's all going to be like brought to its knees. But he said to me, but that is not going to compare to 2025 and 2026. So after March 2020 and then living through April and May and June of 2020 and the whole year, I was like, So, teacher, could we circle back to what you were saying? Because what do you mean 2025, 2026 is going to have something crazier than that? So, what he told me, what I'm going to tell you is 2020 was the breaking down. And again, like anything big, these are systems, structures, foundations of our society that we have been building for hundreds of years, right? And a lot of them are fucked up, right? Our society, our Western, especially, society here in the United States is quite literally built on colonizing, on taking what is not ours, right? On not respecting indigenous practices, the earth, people, and then so on and so forth, right? Built on the back of the free, but not free to them, labor of enslaved peoples, right? Not respecting anyone who is different, not respecting women, not respecting LGBTQ, not respecting people who are, disabled. Like our society has been like, listen, you straight white men, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps and like, let's build something and let's take over and let's conquer. And then, we've gone into capitalism, into late stage capitalism. We're very patriarchal and we're sort of run kind of like a Christian nationalist ethno state when we really shouldn't be. And all this stuff has kind of reached a fever pitch, right? And it all feeds into one another. That's a podcast for a different time. But all these things feed into each other and they all also very much need us to feel separate, to feel like it is me versus you, me versus my neighbor, to feel alone, to feel isolated, to feel like the only way to spark joy is to buy a Starbucks coffee, right? Or to spend money at the mall, at Target. Like everything, nothing is random. Ugh, separate podcast. But this is what I saw. I was like, oh, 2020 was starting the expose of that. And then now it's been like a grieving, a letting go, a deteriorating. But some people, and there are certain people out there who are still like maybe not getting it. Just like the girls who get it, get it. And then my teacher said by 2025, 2026, the majority of people are going to start to get it. They're going to start to wake up. And I've realized, and like a good teacher, he gave me some information, but let me figure out a lot on my own. And what I figured out now is that the getting it is that our whole country, right? All our Western society is designed for the few to hold power over the many, that the corporations and billionaires, and now it's like the oligarchs and technocrats are in bed with the politicians who are supposed to be protecting us. And everything is getting funneled away, right, from the people. Things that we should just have universal health care, access to clean water, to food, to shelter is now becoming not easily accessible at all. And that life is starting to feel untenable. And that it's not about left versus right, but it's or black versus white or any of the identity politics they try to distract us with. Certain people are starting to understand the up versus down of it all, right? And it's interesting because some of the astrologies of cycles of astrology did correlate to things like the Occupy Wall Street movement kind of kicked off the beginning of Pluto in Capricorn. And by the end of it, here we are. And there's so many things I could talk about. But Luigi Mangioni's chart has a very interesting archetypal energy of like awakening this in us and a lot of things. So I say all this to say that 2025, 2026 are going to feel like that's similar to the COVID 2020 year, but maybe it's not like COVID necessarily, but that like collective waking up, rising, and just that line of demarcation. Like, I don't know about you, but I literally look at 2020 as this year. Like when I want to read a book or watch a movie and like listen to an album and it's like before 2020 or after 2020, I just look at it differently. I don't know. Like, I think that's what these 2 years are going to feel like. So I say all that as my larger preamble to let you know, right, that like you're not imagining it. There's so much changing right now, but believe me when I say this, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your skirt. I 100% wholeheartedly believe this. I just birthed 2 boys back to back because I'm like, I am invested in this new future and it is going to be beautiful. It's going to have to be hard fought, hard won. It's not going to happen passively. It's not going to happen from us like choosing convenience, conformity, or the status quo. Honey. It is going to take courage and creativity and clarity and definitely being cohesively together in community to joyfully reimagine our society. But there is hope. There is hope. There is hype on the way. And you were born in this moment in time on purpose, with purpose, honey. You have a role in this revolution. I will help you find it. But the biggest thing is to be you, to be so authentically, unapologetically you, that you are not able to be told who you are, what to do if it feels out of alignment with you. You are able to stand up for yourself and others. You are able to choose the right thing. You are able to know the difference between wanting something and needing something. You are able to see through like the programming, right? The brainwashing, the propaganda, to be like, actually, in my heart, in my soul, and my like little brain in my belly, that feels off. So that's a no for me, dog, right? These are all things. And everyone, I think, has something to weave, some kind of new art, some kind of new storytelling, new magic, new medicine to weave into the tapestry of what I call the joyful reimagining. But I say all this, it's okay if you don't have it figured out now, but I do want to leave you today with this reminder, right? That this is not random. You're not here by some random thing. It's not on accident, on purpose, with purpose, that there's hope, there's something really beautiful coming, but that it's going to take you being a part of it. And that could look like big things, being on the front lines, being an activist protesting, but it could just be in how you mother and how you parent, right? How you show up for your friends, how you show up in your nervous system. Everything is the collective energy right now, right? And you showing up with more hope, with more open heartedness, with more open mindedness, with more connectivity of seeing people around you, remembering your humanity and the shared humanity in others, and showing up with more joy and more playfulness and more wonder and more awe. These are all really important tools of the revolution, because the everyone I just mentioned, and fascism at large really thrives on people acquiescing ahead of time, giving up hope, giving away power, turning on each other, letting society, right, start to feel bland and personalityless and soulless. So, God damn it, you are here to help add some soul, right, to this planet right now. And I just hope that today's podcast leaves you with just getting to think about things a different way. Okay. And, as we go into it, let's just do a little recap of the energy we lived through and what it might teach us for the next year. If you want to go deeper in this, if you're like, okay, I want to go I want to get my notepad out. I want to go full Virgo, Virg, nerd. I want to get like my calendar, my date, my planner, my day planner, my big calendar for my desk. Like, I'm going to write this down and I want to know what it means for me in my chart specifically. Then please join us. We're going to be doing on January 11th my annual yearly year ahead forecast, where I go through every single major transit. I talk about the history, how we know, okay, this is probably what's coming, shades of this, how we can work with it, forecasting, trending for creatives, entrepreneurs, what are the big themes, and then of course for your sign, what do you need to know about, love, money, themes, opportunities, all so you can live in more alignment, ease, flow, abundance, love, presence, right? This is not like a magic trick doing this, but it does create more magic in your life, okay? It's just aligning yourself with a cosmic calendar, not our society's calendar. So like I said, let's do a recap and let's learn how to work with this energy and what are some of the assignments of it instead of just white knuckling our way through life. So big picture, 2025, one of the big themes was Pluto and Aquarius. It had been going back and forth since 2023, but 2025 was the first year that Pluto and Aquarius just landed here. It just landed here. And then, of course, the big things, Neptune and Saturn both dipped into Aries and then dipped out again. Jupiter moved into Cancer in June, and Uranus moved into Gemini. And Neptune had been in Pisces since 2011. Saturn has been in Pisces since 2023. Jupiter in Cancer, that's a year. So Jupiter, had been in Gemini for 2024 to 2025, June. And then Uranus and Taurus have been there since 2018. Okay, so think about these are big shifts, like I mentioned before. Then we have the North Node in Pisces. The North Node moved into Pisces in January 11th, 111. And now this year, we're going to prepare for it to move again into Aquarius. Okay. So all of this is there's so many big themes here. There's a lot of air, there's a lot of fire. And, the air is a lot of new thoughts, new ways of being coming out, continued cracking and dismantling of old power structures, right? All this air is like new voices coming forward, new ways of communicating. And, the collective really, like we've saw again, people be like, actually, maybe the old way really isn't working for one way or the other. And Pluto in Aquarius is really here to expose everything. Pluto, right, reveals. Pluto shows the shadow, shows the rot below the surface. Pluto shows where power is being abused or misused or manipulated, and then like brings it up out into the light so we can do something with it, so we can heal. And Pluto in Aquarius, showed us where systems are outdated, elitist, centralized, disconnected from humanity. It's showing us Pluto in Aquarius also affects the opposite sign of Leo. So the royalty, if you will, politicians, celebrities, Hollywood are all crumbling down. And I think like Pluto in Aquarius is I think the whole Epstein file thing is very Pluto in Aquarius coded because it's like, it kind of has so much of this, like this big takedown, right? Of this exposing of these big names from many different industries, the very Pluto and Capricorn of it all, like these quote unquote, I use loosely like just powerful men across many different industries doing some shady shit, right? And then it like creates a web of like geopolitics and money and sex and doing some horrific things, right? But being like in the shadows and then protected by this boys club. Pluto Aquarius is saying, Pluto Aquarius will go through 2044. And in this time, we are going to see the biggest redistribution of power in our lifetime. Pluto and Aquarius also rules technology. So Pluto and Aquarius, we have a new assignment, right? It's not just that we're healing old shadows. We have to be aware of the shadows now. So Pluto and Aquarius is the shadows of technology. And we've seen a lot around this. And again, I've been talking about this for years, but even this year, I was like, wow, I didn't know how spot on this was going to be. But everything from, conversations about AI and ChatGPT and everything from like, what is the impact of this on the environment? What is the impact of this on the job market? What is the impact of this on our ability to connect as humans? And where do we regulate this and where do we, and I would say if anyone's listening who works in politics, I'm going to say sooner rather than later. And I was saying this in like 2018, 2020. I was like, why are we still having the same old fight in our politics in the United States? Like, why are we talking about like, Roe versus Wade and gay marriage? I wanted to like shake some of the Republicans and be like, we have to focus on something much bigger. Like this sweeping thing of AI and where we're headed and everything, even just like the internet at large, children on the internet and their faces. How do we deal with that? And families who make money off of selling their children's life story through family blogging. And this was like one of my examples I used in 2018 before we had so much more that we have access to now. It was like revealing the shadows of this, and the shadow of Pluto and Aquarius for all of us to be mindful of is feeling disconnected, is giving away all of our power to technology, kind of selling our soul for convenience, right? Like, okay, well, yeah, I'll get a chip in my hand or my brain because or digital ID because I don't want to lose my ID. I don't want to lose my keys, and giving this away. And we saw some butting up against this year. Yeah, I'm not like the hugest fan of him, but the Jimmy Kimmel show thing was interesting because people said, oh, you're going to fire Jimmy Kimmel, for making a joke about the president, which is what all late night comedians do, by the way. And they tried to fire him. Pluto Aquarius is power to the people, the power in the masses. And people boycotted. People voted with their dollars, which also happened with, Target and the DEI initiatives. And people are really understanding more of the power of the collective boycott. And I'm sure people were canceling their Hulu, their Disney Pluses. And like, I know, like, as a toddler, baby mom, sometimes you're like, no, I need that Frozen to stream. But you know what? It's okay. I can find it on DVD. I can get a DVD player. I can do something. I can find a different show. I can, support PBS Kids, #do it, and not like have my whole life be this subconscious or like kind of convenience over my conviction of values. So that leads to eventually living in a world where we've lost all control, all autonomy, right? Like, so that was a big theme. Pluto in Aquarius is the French Revolution energy. So again, going into for years now, I've been like, wow, French Revolution is coming. Let them eat cake. well, how is this going to look? And then, many things have happened. So many, too many to list here. And I even saw around the end of 2024 a lot of articles and headlines that talked about like the comparison of sort of this French Revolution energy to now. And I was like, if astrology isn't real, right? The media is getting it, the collective, we're getting it. But even I, who just like, yes, the astrologies, it stays on point. I could not have foresaw or foretold or predicted that in the midst of a month where the government has already taken away so much money from everything from US aid to programs that help protect our national parks to doing research for disease to taking away money from farmers, and all that happening in the same month to take away, right, SNAP benefits for people who need that to feed their families, whilst the president of the United States is tearing down the East Wing of the White House to build a ballroom in a White House that he's already gilded for filth to look like some sort of Atlantic City casino in the Oval Office. While that is happening, to be literally building a ballroom that no one of the American people are ever going to see or experience, while saying we don't have money to feed the poor, while also starting wars, while funneling so much money into the domestic terrorism group that is ICE. And I'm like, okay, Pluto and Aquarius, got it. So what we can learn, from this is we are meant to be moving through some sort of decentralized power. And Pluto and Aquarius is we need the people who used to be on the outskirts, who felt like the outcasts, the too sensitive, the too weird, the too this, the too that, to rise up and to own, take up some space, to be visible. And I thought a great Pluto and Aquarius moment was Mamdani winning here in New York City as the first Democratic Socialist mayor. I am a working families party, vote through and through. And to see, right, power to the people. His whole campaign, I thought, was a beautiful illustration of Pluto in Aquarius, right? So if this is something that you feel like you want to be called forward or into, please, 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 please step up. We need new artists. We need more new storytellers. We need new business people. We need new leaders who are leading from the heart, right? Who are remembering our shared humanity, who are thinking bigger with the vision, feeling more inclusive, more innovative. And Pluto and Aquarius is also about bringing ancient wisdom into present day technology. So working on yourself, on your energy, on your frequency, working on your consciousness, being really responsible for what you bring into that, right? So we had that. We had Jupiter in Cancer, which made everything personal. Jupiter in Cancer, unfortunately, can bring up a lot of xenophobic, ethnocentric vibes. And we saw that big time this year. I mean, again, I just mentioned ICE. And Jupiter in Cancer even felt very like the Sydney Sweeney, like Great Genes campaign. Jupiter in Cancer actually felt very coded in the Pantone color of the next year being white. Like Jupiter in Cancer, the shadow of that can be like, my family, my people. I want everyone to look like me, be like me, and that is how I create safety. But Jupiter in Cancer, what it can teach us, and we will have this through the next 6 months of the year, right? Through June, is going to be how can we take care of each other like family? And that's what I thought was really cool. Again, with watching some of these ICE raids, watching community throw down for each other, say, not on my watch. People like, oh my God, I saw everyone, like elderly people, firefighters, community, like just activists, and also just the everyday person, like circling around people and driving ICE out of their communities, out of their neighborhoods. I saw people, again, I think when they took away the SNAP benefits for a whole month, which is unprecedented, when the government shut down, I think they were kind of expecting there to be riots in the streets. But instead, people showed up and showed out for each other, right? Donating food banks, small businesses, coffee shops, restaurants that are already struggling, offering free breakfasts, free snacks for anyone who couldn't afford it. Like, what? And that is what building things that are centered around taking care of each other and protecting each other is going to be huge. And I say this because these are waves of energy. When we can ride them, we can surf these waves of energy. We are adding something to the collective moment, and we all get to do this in a kind of form of a collective prayer with this shared energy, shared intention, shared vision. But also within you, something is going to heal, to evolve, to expand, because this is the frequency, right? This is what you signed up for. This is part of why your soul is here right now. So if you're feeling stuck, you're feeling uninspired, like take some of this and do something with it. Jupiter's going to move into Leo in June, which is going to be so fun. Such a different vibe. So fun. Come to the webinar if you want to learn more about that. But definitely it's going to be taking up space, right? Being seen, having fun, sparking joy, and having a lot of creative courage. The other big thing I want us to think about as we got a dip in this past year, 2025, and as we move into 2026, is like self-expression, being seen, being an individual, being the most unapologetic version of you, being so fucking authentic that like anything that's out of alignment for you, it's such an easy no, just falls away from you. This is Neptune. This is Saturn and Aries. This is moving forward. This is being a spiritual warrior. This is taking responsibility for who you are and maybe even some of the rebrand, rebuild things you've learned about yourself since 2021, since 2022. We're dissolving a lot of old myths. We're dissolving things where we got up in, self-betrayal, not being clear with our boundaries, thinking we have to be something for a certain way. There's a lot of new identity that's being asked to being built right now, but with integrity, with discipline, and with courage. And these planets together are going to come together end of February, right around eclipse season, for the first time in 0 degrees of Aries, for the first time in 6,000 years. So each and every one of us have a once in a many, many, many lifetime opportunity to realize we're on a new path. We're literally evolving into a new way of being as people, as humans. And I need you to stop outsourcing your authority. I need you to stop assuming that people around you have it more figured out or better qualified. Stop shrinking to stay safe, okay? And I also don't want everyone blending the fuck in. Like, I live in New York City. I don't want to see everyone like conforming into what you think you have to be based on some Pilates princess clean girl aesthetic, quiet luxury. Fine, get inspiration from people, but make it your own. And I mean that in how you express and how you dress, but in how you act and how you speak. Like we really need this right now. Okay. And then the Uranus and Gemini of it all. So Uranus and Gemini, I have been saying for years, anyone who listen, like social media is fun. Social media is a tool, but I'm like, don't get so lost in the sauce of it because it's kind of a made up thing. And these people who run the platforms and algorithms can switch up things on a dime. I teach all of my students and mentees who are entrepreneurs to not build their whole businesses on this platform, to use it as a manifestation cord out to the world where, wow, you can say something, project an image, launch a project, cast a wish out into the world using this tool. It's amazing, but to not get so sucked up into it. I've been saying 2025 is going to be the beginning of the end for social media. And again, I know these things, but I don't know how they're going to play out. And this year, I think we saw Uranus and Gemini. Gemini is the media. And Gemini now is really under social media. It used to be Aquarius, but now it's more everyday, right? Social media is not as like far out as it used to be. Aquarius now rules more like the AI type of things. So Uranus and Gemini is bringing a revolution to social media, is bringing a revolution to how we connect in our community, to media in general, right? Like if you work in media, we need to step it up. We need to change. We need to evolve. If you are on social media, I think this is going to be the beginning of the end of us being obsessed with our screens because as more AI, slapaganda, and good deep fake stuff gets rolled out, people might start to feel like, why am I on social media if I don't know what's real, what's not? And so if you're on social media, the more you can show up with realness, as authentically you, as being a storyteller, as being a heart-centered leader, the more you're going to feel that reward. But I think we're also going to see a little bit of turning away, right? Of returning to some analog connection with people. And Uranus and Gemini is we need our local community to survive. I need you to go out and learn the name of your coffee cart guy. I need you to learn the name of your dry cleaner. I need you to say hi to the person you see on the corner every day. This is part of the revolution, right? And we are in a revolution around so much that's Gemini coded. And also, I think Gemini energy wants us to be silly, wants us to be mischievous, wants us to disrupt and ask, like I say in my book, The Gemini Key, but why, right? Who said, says who? So I would love to hear, like, if you're watching this on YouTube in the comments, like think about the big stories from the year and the ones that are still rolling out. Where does it lie here? Where does it fit in? Where do we see some of the patterns that I'm talking about? And how can we maybe even not like predict, take away uncertainty, because that's not what it's about, but how can we understand where some of the plot twists and some of the plot lines are taking us so we can better meet the moment? I'm never going to sit here and act like I have all the answers because sure as hell, I know I do not. And this is not, like I said, about prediction or control, but it is about understanding who am I in this moment? How can I meet this moment with the most clarity, right? With the most courage, with the most presence while being in my power, right? So I can do that and hold that space for liberation for myself and other people. So much happening, right? And we're shedding this year the wood snake. We go ahead, right? And everything we've learned about letting things go, grieving, deep wisdom, long game thinking, heal, regeneration, being patient, observant, honest, laying in wait, getting tender, getting soft, getting open, letting something die so something healthier and more true can grow. That is going to shift us into the gallop, into the giddy the fuck up energy of the year of the fire horse, right? Bold, fast, expressive, rebellious, momentum, freedom, passion. Like this is going to ask you to go there. The fire horse does not tiptoe, right? It does not, oh, is that okay? No, it fucking goes. It is fueled by desire and fire. And this is it, okay? So in 2025 might have taught you some truths. 2026 is the year you act on them. So let me know. Stay tuned on our Instagram. I'll be posting more about this. Come to our webinar if you want to hear more. For time's sake, I'm going to wrap up here, but let me know in the comments, where have you seen some of these themes play out? I'm so curious. Play Cosmic Detective. Do it for me. I love hearing how you take this all in. So, and just remember, right? You are divinely designed for this moment. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not too much. You're not enough. You're not late. You're right on time. And everything that led you to this moment was preparing you. 2026 is not asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be brave, present, and real. So I will see you in 2026 for the forecast webinar back here on the podcast. And in the meantime, I am sending you so much love, baby, so much big cosmic baddie energy. And I cannot wait to walk into this next year with you. Mwah. Do you love getting your Cosmic RX for the week here and want more? Make sure to sign up for our premium subscription so you can get exclusive access to bonus podcast episodes, all of my astrology info for the month ahead, and live new and full moon calls to help you manifest your dream life with an intentional international community of other cosmic baddies. Sign up through our link in show notes. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to know more about Cosmic RX, head on over to thecosmicrx.com. And if you really love this show, I'd love it if you left a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. I super love hearing from you and reading your reviews. All right, you cosmic baddie, tune in next week. And until then, remember, love yourself fully, work your magic, and take no shit.